Also, I just want to say congratulations on your recent signee, or your newest inquirer.
Congratulations or condolences?
Yeah, did you run a background check on him? Because I know he looks familiar. It's Mr.
Apparently he listed me as one of his references, which I wasn't even aware of until they made that. They never checked, so I guess they made their decision.
We're talking about Anthony Irwin, and the last time we had him on the show, he couldn't reveal the secret. So this is the big secret.
Yeah.
Surprise!
So happy for you guys. You guys are reunited again.
Yeah, no, we finally get to reunite after, I think several years without working together, which is honestly still less time than I think we have worked together, but it felt weird. So it's nice to it's nice to be back together.
Yeah, nature is healing again.
Exactly. Yeah.
And also, speaking of which, because you did bring up how popular you are, we want to show up this graphic because we saw you were on a Clutch Points graphic not too long ago. I want to say it was sometime last week. And is this definitely the Madden cover for Laker beat writers right here?
Yeah, I think that there are probably some people on the beat who would dispute that and that were not listed on it that I think maybe should have been. But yeah, look, I'm on it. So yeah, I'll say it's the Madden cover, but I just hope that doesn't come with a curse. Maybe my tweets are going to get 9,000 times worse. I'm just going to inexplicably tweet false information and, whatever throughout the playoffs. I'm just really going to start messing up.
Well, we'll bring you on because your name does start off with PlayIn on Twitter. The PlayIn game is about to happen tomorrow, Lakers versus Warriors. And as much as Laker fans are dreading the fact that they had to go up against the Warriors in this stupid one game, or maybe if they lose, then happens to be a double elimination. But in this case, as a basketball fan, I'm excited because this can be an exciting matchup where nothing gets lost. It's Steph versus LeBron in the playoffs again, and it just goes to show how deep the Western Conference is.
Yeah, and look, if the Lakers hadn't been coming off of a 72-day off season or whatever that saw that both of their stars get hurt, they wouldn't be in this thing anyway. It's LeBron wasn't openly criticizing the play-in thing and calling for the guy to be fired until the Lakers were down in it. And look, I understand why the players don't like it and why they wanted to avoid it. And ultimately a couple things didn't go their way and they weren't able to. But yeah, it does demonstrate how deep the Western Conference is. And I think, it's something that I forget who brought it up, but it does also kind of serve as a safety net to where you get some of these teams that may have been dealing with maybe a little bit too much misfortune. If the Lakers had missed AD and LeBron for a couple more weeks, they might have dropped even further. And at least this way, on the flip side, they would have had a chance to play their way into the playoffs. And, we wouldn't have been missing the Lakers in the postseason, and getting a chance to defend their title.
Does it make you feel a little nervous that the Lakers are in the play-in tournament?
Not really, just because, for as much as we just said about the depth of the West, it's even if they lose this game to the Warriors, which I really don't think they will, they've done pretty well on Steph historically, defensively, and he generally, throughout his career, does not shoot well in Staples Center. And so, between those things, they just have a lot of bodies they can throw at him. But even if he goes off and, the Lakers somehow lose tomorrow, I'm pretty confident that they can handle the Grizzlies and or the Spurs. And so I'm not I don't think that Lakers fans are super nervous about it by my sense. I think everybody, the team included, wishes that they didn't have to play this game and they could just start their series. But, hey, that's how it broke for them. And, but I think they can handle it. And look, if they can't beat, this version of the Warriors that, they've been hot lately, but they aren't that great, and the Grizzlies or the Spurs, then they don't deserve to win the title anyway. If they can't win one out of these two games, then they weren't real contenders all along.
Yeah.
Now, the Lakers, of course, they can say, hey, we did it to ourselves. That's why we're in the play-in tournament. Of course, there's also the reason why a lot of people are saying, hey, look at the Nuggets, look at the Clippers. They're the ones that kind of tank purposefully for Lakers to be in this situation. So do you really think the Nuggets and the Clippers or the Clippers did that to the Lakers?
Oh, absolutely. I don't understand. Even Nuggets fans weren't really defending that their team did it. They're yeah, they did that, and it's smart. And that's what you should be saying. It was mostly Clippers fans, but I saw they were aghast at the idea that their team would tank this game and be afraid of the Lakers. And I understand why, as a fan, you would not want to admit that your team was ducking like a specific matchup, but they clearly were. Like Daniel Oturu, who is, I believe, a second-round pick, or at the very least an extremely late first, put up 21 shots against the Thunder as the Clippers like isolated him down the stretch and tried to tank that game. Like, it's just, if you watch those games, Ivica Zubac played like a combined like 30 seconds, I think, in both of them. Like they clearly were not trying to win those games, and that's okay. That's smart. Why wouldn't you want to give yourself an easier path to the title? But it's clearly what they were doing.
Yeah, I want to think, or at least I want to feel that just, the Lakers are still that feared team still. I guess as the defending champs, would you say that's still the case? Like, are other teams still afraid of the Lakers when they're healthy?
I think it's that, and I also think it's like, look at the pedigree of the matchups that they set themselves up with. Like the Clippers, teed up a matchup with the Mavericks, and who they beat in 5 games last year. And if you're the Nuggets, and it comes down to one final game of the season, and somebody's like, okay, so you can play the Lakers or you could play the Blazers, and which one are you picking? And I think, it's clear what choice they made, and I don't blame them at all for making it. Like, I don't think that these teams are like cowering in fear of the Lakers necessarily. It's just that I think that they deservedly so respect and fear a healthy LeBron and Anthony Davis more so than those two teams.
So if, I still have to put the if just out of consideration in professional manner for the Warriors, but if the Lakers win tomorrow night, they go up against the Phoenix Suns, and the Phoenix Suns seem to be a team that didn't really duck the Lakers when they played against the Portland Trailblazers, like I want to say game 71, if not game 70 of the season. Do you think this is going to be an exciting first-round matchup if it does happen?
Yeah, I think so, because the Suns are like they're a good team. They started, they really had a breakout this year, obviously, and, they stayed really healthy throughout the year. But I think it's clear, going back to the bubble last year, even before they got Chris Paul, that this is a team that's starting to kind of coalesce under Monty Williams, and that had really started to build an identity together. And then you get Chris Paul, and they really obviously kick it up a whole nother level. And I think that it would be a fun series. I also don't know how long it would necessarily be, because the Suns just match up, atrociously with the Lakers. If Anthony Davis is even reasonably healthy, he might average 30 in that series. They just don't have anyone to slow him down at all, short of Jay Crowder trying to injure him and LeBron, which, is not outside of the realm of possibility. And so, I don't know if, the Lakers just need to have, Markieff Morris play 40 minutes a game as, a bodyguard. But, yeah, that really helps, in my opinion, would be the Suns' only chance there.
Yeah, you see Jay Crowder calling Solomon Hill backstage and be like, hey, how did you do it?
No, look, Jay Crowder's just mad that he didn't get to do that. He was fuming. The Lakers played the Suns 2 games later. He's probably seeing it. He's like, wait, where's LeBron? I wanted to hurt him. And it's, that guy, people were lumping Solomon Hill in with him. It's look, this is Hill does not have the pattern of doing this that Jay Crowder does, where he's trying to rip guys' arms out of their sockets. And
We're on the phone right now with Harrison Faigen. You can follow him on Twitter at HMFAIGEN, HM Faigen. And he's, of course, with Silver Screen and Roll. Just real quick, over the weekend, we were talking about it at another podcast, but we wanted to bring it here, and we're going to talk about it last segment, but we wanted to give you, obviously, the first touch of this. The Hall of Fame ceremony was another emotional wave for a lot of the Laker fans, and especially Kobe fans. What did you think of Vanessa and Michael Jordan's speeches?
Yeah, honestly, I think, I'm still in disbelief about the whole situation most of all, but it just didn't feel real to not have him there. But, I think that the Hall of Fame handled it as well as they possibly could have. I was glad that they saved that for last, because I think it would have been really tough to, have one of the other guys come up with a funny self-effacing speech after that. You kind of had to have that one go last. And so I think they approached it right in that respect. And, I'm just honestly, I know we joke around on this show a lot, but I'm just genuinely in awe of Vanessa and the strength that she's been able to display over the last couple of years. her speech at the Celebration of Life was one of the most powerful things I think I've ever been in the building for. Wow. And, she just kept it. You really felt through her, you got to see a side of Kobe that I think all of us, obviously wish that we could have gotten to see under better circumstances, but it was still really nice.
Yeah, I was just like the whole time I'm watching her speech, and I'm like, she's able to hold it together. It's almost like I mean, clearly she was married to the guy, but she adapted like Kobe's killer instinct and performance, and just kind of just nailed it. And I was just kind of like, wow, who would have thought Vanessa, how they met, they're over the years, just everything would come to this, and here she is holding it down on her own. And I'm blown away by that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just, there's no words to describe it. I can't even imagine what she's had to go through over the last year, like, with everything, and then you have, like, all of the lawsuits with the police officers and all of that stuff. Like, it's, I don't know how she made it through, and, like, it's, honestly, she has to be one of the strongest people on earth.
True or false, if Kobe was still alive, his speech would have been a lot like Michael Jordan's when he was inducted in the Hall of Fame?
Honestly, I don't know, but I do kind of feel like there would have been an element of that. Although I think that he had more self-effacing humor than Michael Jordan ever did. Like, if you watch both of their interviews, like, Michael Jordan was not typically a guy who poked fun at himself unless he was, like, making fun of you by making fun of himself. Where, like, Kobe did have a little bit of, like, a kind of, he was able to laugh at himself, especially towards the end of his career, when that was really the only way you could have made it through, was by poking a little bit of fun at yourself too, for being old, for, bad shot selection, whatever it may be. Like, he had a sense of humor about himself. And I don't think that it would have been quite as, like, much unhinged venom as Michael Jordan displayed. But, he definitely, there would have been a few people that caught some strays and stuff like that for sure.
Yeah. Do you think he would be thinking Kwame Brown? Like, as,
No, but he would have made a joke about how many points, like, him and Kwame and Smush Parker combined for on that day. He's like, I really had to give it up for my teammates. Like, we all combined for 87 points that day. And, yeah.
Did you guys see Kwame on Instagram Live?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was incredible. I think he's legally the host of All the Smoke now. Like, I don't see how you bring Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson after that. Like, they ducked All of the Smoke. Like, that's Kwame Brown's podcast, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, man, you're so on point with that. It's so true. Last question. Since we've had you on for the preseason and even the halfway point predictions, now it's the playoffs. We just want to know what your predictions are for the Lakers.
I honestly, I want to predict another title run, but I'm not there yet. Like, I feel like this is the team that, until I see otherwise, I feel like Western Conference Finals, because it's just, they've dealt with so many injuries. We even saw in their most recent game, LeBron got a little touched up on his ankle. It sounds like he's okay and he's going to play. He's listed as probable for tomorrow. I would probably keel over and die if he did not play in this play-in game. Like, I would be so surprised. But they've just had so many injuries, and how many times have we seen where just a team dealing with a bunch of soft tissue injuries, this stuff, they're overcompensating for something. Obviously I hope it doesn't happen, and I hope that we're able to see this team really get a chance to defend its title healthy, but I'm not 100% there yet, just with how many bumps and bruises and the short turnaround. We'll see. I wish that I had more faith, but look, I hope that people are old takes exposing me for this when they repeat as champion.
Well, I got to say, you're a good luck charm, especially with you being on the show and blessing us with your presence. So we always thank you for being here, and like I said, it's always good things happen when you're on the show. So I think the Lakers will be okay.
No, if they win tomorrow, like, I'm gonna have to come back before every round or something. Like, I don't know that I can. I don't think I can duck it.
You heard it here first. Harrison Faigen, ladies and gentlemen. Follow him at Twitter at HM Faigen.